If you're after an unboxing video of the Reef ATO, then you're in the wrong place. But if you want to know how this works and what I think after the first 8 weeks, then you're in the right place. So let's dive straight in. As you probably know, this has a 3-in-1. So it's an auto top up. It monitors but does not control your heater and shows the temperature within the app. And last but not least, it's a leak detector. Let's start with the reason why you buy this. And of course, this is an ATO in the first instance. It took about 90 minutes to set up. It's worth mentioning that most auto top-offs have a non-return valve. However, this auto top-up works with a siphon breaker. And what that means is water actually comes out, as you can see here. So you either need to have a container like I have there in the Nano, and it flows back into the container, because if it's outside the container, your cabinet's going to get wet. Or if you've got a sump, well, you put it above the sump, so you kind of get the picture. So that is slightly different to any other auto top-up I've had before, and it's worth mentioning because it's clear in the instructions, but if you don't read the instructions, you could end up with a leak in your cabinet, which you quite clearly don't want to. What I really like about the app is it's easy to use. You can see what level the water's at any time, and also you can see how much it's been dispensed in that particular day. So today it's 0.55 of a litre. But do you actually need it? So I think if you're dosing calc, then I think it's really important, and those people that use calc tell me that it's really important to understand how much RO is being dispensed each day. But if you're like me and you've used an ATO for a number of years that I would call as analog, then I would say this is a nice to have. However, I do like it. Well, the other thing I have found is that when you set it up, you have to put how long the pipe is that's going from the container up into the sump, and also how high it is from the pump, again, up until the top. And it then calculates how much you're actually dosing or putting into the tank. Now, the problem is that's inaccurate at the moment. So, as you can see there, I've probably got about 4.5 litres, whereas it is showing a lot more than that. So, I think I need to do a bit more work in recalibrating that, because it's not doing what I need it to do. But overall, it does what you expect from an auto top-off. Right, let's move on to the temperature controller. So you can see on the app, the temperature is 24.9. So let's just kind of step behind that and see what's going on. Go into temperature, and you can see the temperature ranges of this. And I find that the temp log is quite useful, because what it actually shows is the range. What I have found is I've got a DD controller, and that usually shows about 24.8 to 25. This range is very different. It usually ranges from about 24.8 to about 25.6. And what I think happens is it really depends on where you put the probe. It's the same probe whether it's the auto top-off or the temperature. And in this tank, you can actually see there's only about 5 inches between the heater and the temperature probe, whereas the DD controller, that is actually in the display itself. So it's in a much larger body of water. So I think what's happening is when the heater is on, the water is flowing from that into the return chamber, and that's heating that area up. When the heater goes off, that area cools down, hence why there's a swing of just under 1. Whereas the temperature controller is in a display, and that's got a fast, steady temperature. So it's good because if my heater was to foul, then obviously the temperature would go down, I would get alert, and again, if the DD controller for some reason fouled, the temperature would go up, and I would get a notification. Now, of course, I can't control the temperature of the heater from this, but what I can do is if you put your heater or your controller on a Wi-Fi plug, you could then switch it off if it was too high, and if it was too low, then obviously you have to take some action and put another heater in. So what I like about it is whilst it's not a temperature controller, it does give you peace of mind if there's a problem. Now, I love the DD controller. I've had them on all my tanks. I've got them on the 3 tanks at the moment, but the frustration is when you're not at home, you don't know what's going on. And then last but not least, you got the leak detector. Now that just says all good, and if you step behind it, press on leak, all it does is the ability, if there's a buzzer, if it's leaking, emergency shutdown, so I suppose it would turn off the auto top off. I suppose if you have other Red Sea equipment, then you could link it to that. But again, I hope I never use it, and it's a good bit of redundancy. So overall, after 8 weeks, it's a big thumbs up for me. But do you actually need this ATO? So whilst you do need an ATO, you don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles. But the reason for getting it, I think, is pretty simple. It is easy to use. If you love a gadget, you are going to love this. It monitors your temperature, although it doesn't control it, and there's a leak detector. What I have found, it's a little bit fiddly to set up, and also the reservoir, the amount of water that's showing in the reservoir, for me, has been inaccurate. Now, that could be user error, so I just need to tweak that to see how that works going forward. But the biggest thing for me is redundancy. If there's a problem, it will send you an alert for what it monitors, and I think that is worth paying extra money for the Reef ATO. If you want something that's a bit simple, that sets up in 5 minutes, then actually I would go for something like this particular one. You get the Auto Aqua Smart Auto Top Off, really small, and this is plug and play. This takes, overall, probably took me about 5 to 10 minutes to set up, and then you can see it's got the non-return valve on that. So this is out of the box, whereas the Red Sea, as I say, takes 60 to 90 minutes to set up, depending on how good you are. Have you got the app already? And I use to Red Sea. So hopefully that's helped you make your decision if you're looking to buy an auto top-off. Leave any comments below, any questions you've got, and I'll get round to answer them as soon as I can. But thanks for watching.